Hello, Jana. Hello.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
It says Tracy Freeman at the bottom of your.
Oh gosh, that's weird. I connected through the invite that Tracy sent. This is so
Okay.
weird. Maybe I should log out and log back in.
Okay.
Leave and come back.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
We can't hear you.
Can you still not hear me, Mark?
Ah, there's something.
Good. Good afternoon, everybody.
Okay, Jana, welcome.
Thank you.
I think you heard everything, and yeah, you have a presentation for us. We're going to talk about tax, how that impacts work from home solution. Could you just tell us a bit about yourself, background, forte?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I am Jana Botha. I am the director of SA Tax Online. I have been in tax for the past 25 years, and now I'm giving my age away. I've worked for the big four firms, and I've had my own business for the last 4 years. And I'm really happy to be here today to tell you a little bit more about home office expenses. I think there's a lot of questions around this since the beginning of the COVID pandemic in South Africa and the lockdown. So yeah, let's not delay, because I think I've already delayed enough with my technical problems, because I'm technologically disadvantaged on all levels. So I'm just going to try and share my screen here. Mark, my screen sharing is disabled. Can you please just check?
Sure. Okay, are you able to share?
Can you all see my screen?
Is it coming on as yet? Share it.
Do this. Okay, let's just try again. Can you see that now?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so I think, Jana, there's a few questions that we do have for you. Would you want to go through the presentation first and ask you questions afterwards? Would you like to go through?
Let's go through the presentation, and we can deal with the questions where they fit into the presentation, Mark. What do you think?
Awesome, awesome.
Okay.
You go for it.
If everybody is comfortable, I'm just going to switch off my video feed, because I'm just worried that with sharing my screen, my internet connection might become a little bit of a problem. So I'm just going to stop my video. There we go. Okay. So like I said, I think a question on everybody's lips these days is we are forced to work from home effectively the 26th of March this year, which is now almost 5 months, I think. And we are incurring expenses which are normally paid for by our employers at home. And so we want to know if there's an opportunity for us to claim something back from the taxman. So I think essentially the tax legislation makes provision for us to claim home office expenses, and it would seem very easy to just claim a whole lot of expenses in your tax return, but it's actually not that easy because there are quite a lot of conditions that have to be met. So today we're going to touch on that, and from that I think we're going to start with the first question of what home office expenses typically consist of. So we all have rent. So if you are renting your property, you would be paying rent, and that would qualify as a home office expense. If your property is purchased and it's bonded and you're paying bond interest, that would qualify. If you are required to make repairs and maintain the property, that would also equally qualify. Your rates and taxes, insurance, and those are typically property related expenses. And then you have your general business expenses, like for example telephone, internet, stationery, cleaning, office equipment, and wear and tear, which is similar to depreciation, which is linked to your assets. Okay, so I'm pretty sure everybody wants to know who can actually claim these expenses. So the legislation allows commission earners and the salaried employees to claim home office expenses subject to certain conditions. And then your sole proprietors, freelancers, and independent contractors who generally work from home would, well, yeah, I suppose not generally, they could have offices, but those who do work from home would qualify for these kind of expenses. So we will chat about commission earners and salaried employees today. The rules are pretty much the same for everybody else, but I think what is important is to deal with the conditions which apply in respect of commission earners and salaried employees. And I think from the platform that we're on today, in a call center environment, this would be the most applicable and the most important. Okay, so what are the conditions for claiming? A commission earner may claim home office employment if more than 50% of his employment income consists of commission. So, for example, if an individual receives a salary of, say, 20,000 Rand, and his commission is about 10, then he would not qualify for home office expenses, because your commission earned has to be greater than your salaried income. So somebody who, for example, works only on commission would automatically qualify. If the commission is less than 50%, that person would fall outside of that bracket. But if it's greater than 50%, then yes, the person would qualify for to claim home office expenses. I know home office commission earned is generally variable, so it's not the same every month, and it's not always easy every month to see whether your commission earned will be more than 50% of your employment income. So from a tax perspective, we generally look at that from an annual perspective. Remember, the tax year runs from the 1st of March to the 28th of February every year. So we look at it throughout that year of assessment. and not on a month-to-month basis. So just keep that in mind. Then salaried employees who may claim home office expenses are those employees who are allowed to or required to work from home. The employee must mainly work from home. So here, once again, mainly refers to more than 50%. So essentially what we look at is if you work 5 days a week and 3 days a week you are working at home and 2 days a week you're in the office, that means you work from home more than 50% of the time, and therefore you would qualify for home office expenses. If you work from home every other day, but there's no fixed period and there's no fixed requirement, there's no specific requirement for you to work from home or allowance in terms of your contract of employment, you will not qualify to claim home office expenses. Two very important requirements for a salaried employee to claim home office expenses is that the employee must have an exclusive use area, which he or she uses regularly and exclusively for the purposes of his trade. And these are terms that are used by the legislation. So in terms of the Tax Act, you have to have a particular space like a study or an office or an area which is specifically used regularly. So if we look at the definition of regular, that means it's done or happening frequently. And exclusive means excluding or not admitting other things. So essentially what that then says is that you need to have an office where you work from most of the time. So, and that does not include your dining room. That means that it's a study or an office or something of the sort. Then a home office must also be specifically equipped for the purposes of the employee's trade before you can claim home office expenses. So essentially, if you are a graphic designer, you would probably have your MacBook and your drawing desk and whatever, all your equipment that you require to do your job would need to be in your office in order for you to be able to claim your home office expenses. Okay, so then we look at essentially what can be claimed and when can it be claimed. So the Tax Act allows you to claim expenses or losses actually incurred. So this means that it needs to be expenses, so it's actual expenses that you've incurred during the course of the year. If we look back at the first slide I show you, like your rent, your rates and taxes, your general office expenses, those kind of things, or losses in terms of, for example, where you sell an asset at a loss. But that has to have actually happened during the year of assessment. And it has to be in the production of income. So your grocery bill for the month is surely not going to fall within the requirement that it is in the production of income. Yes, I know you have to eat to be able to be alive, to be able to work, to be able to put more food on the table, but no, domestic expenses like groceries and those kind of things will not qualify. And it can't be of a capital nature. So when we say capital nature, it needs to be, we're talking about assets, like, for example, a desk, a chair, a computer, a printer, things like that. So you can't claim a deduction for the actual computer, but you can claim a wear and tear allowance aka depreciation on that computer, for example. So here, when we say domestic expenses, like I already said, it doesn't include your grocery bill. It includes things like your rates and taxes, and all of that would be on a pro rata basis based on the square meterage of the exclusive use area for the purposes of your trade, and then obviously your general business expenses. I don't know if there are any questions at this point in time. I see there's a question from
Kirshni.
What about a shared cost? Example, internet connectivity cost. Can you claim a portion? Kirshni, could you just clarify for me what you mean by shared cost? Does that mean that you pay a portion and your employer pays a portion?
No, your household uses it too.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Good. So there you would be able to claim a portion. And I'm going to take you through an example of a calculation now, which should give you an idea of what you can claim and how you need to calculate the portion that you can claim. So I think the answer will become clear to you now. Okay. So if I can carry on, let's look at an example of how the deduction is determined based on a set of facts, the tests that we need to do to determine whether there is an opportunity to claim, and then how exactly the deduction is calculated. So Sam is a sales agent and he earns a basic salary of 10,000 Rand a month. He also earns commission of approximately 50,000 Rand a month. So if you remember, I said that if your commission earned exceeds 50% of your total income, you are allowed to claim home office expenses. So in this case, Sam will be able to, he will qualify because his commission is clearly much higher than 50% of his total remuneration. So in terms of his contract of employment, Sam is not provided with an office, but is required to work from home. Now, this is something that is definitely something that we need to touch on. The legislation itself does not say that there must be a contract, your contract of employment must state that you have to work from home. But the interpretation notes issued by SARS and the general practice by SARS is that they would look at the contract of employment to see if you are required to or allowed to work from home. And that would be important in terms of claiming your home office expenses, because if you're not allowed to work from home, but you just choose to work from home, you will not qualify for a deduction. So carrying on with our example, Sam is, in terms of his contract of employment, not provided with an office, so he is required to work from home. He has a home office, which he's specifically equipped with the relevant tools to perform his duties. And the home office is 20 square meters. So he's converted one of his bedrooms into an office. It's 20 square meters in relation to the size of the house, which is 200 square meters. So the total area used for a home office is basically then 10%. So you divide the 20 square meters by the total floor area to determine your pro rata basis on which you are going to calculate your home office expenses deduction. So when Sam started working, he bought a laptop, he bought a desk, he bought a chair, and he bought a printer to specifically equip his office for the purposes of his trade. So he lives in a home that he's bought and it's bonded, and the monthly interest on the bond account is 8,000 Rand. His rates and taxes are 900 Rand per month, and he's also incurred business expenses of approximately 2,000 Rand per month. So if we do the test to see if Sam meets the conditions for claiming home office expenses, as I've already said, since more than 50% of Sam's total income consists of commission income, he maintains a home office, which is regularly and exclusively used for the purposes of earning an income. And the income and the home office is specifically equipped for the purposes of his trade and mainly used to perform his duties. Sam may claim the deduction in his tax return. So he will be able to claim wear and tear. As I said, the purchase of the laptop, the desk, the chair, and the printer, being assets of a capital nature, will not qualify for a deduction. So he can't claim the 15,000 that he spent on the laptop. But SARS allows, for example, a wear and tear allowance deduction over a 3-year period for computer equipment, and therefore he would claim depreciation over 3 years, and thus he would be able to claim 33.33% of the cost of the laptop. And the same applies obviously for desk, chair, printer, any other capital assets, drawing boards, all other kinds of assets. Then you have business expenses, which would include your telephone, internet, stationery, etc., interest on your bond account, rates and taxes. So all of these expenses Sam would be able to claim on a prorated basis based on the size of the home office relevant to the total size of Sam's home. So if we look at how to calculate the deduction, you would take the business expenses. Oh, sorry, I see there's a typo. It's 2,000 times 12 months, and that translates to 24,000. So for the purposes of this example, I've just said we're assuming that SARS allows a 3-year write-off period on all the assets that Sam has. So total of the assets is 20,500 divided by the 3 years gives us 6,833. Then the interest on his bond account times 10% floor area is 96, and then his rates and taxes also based on the floor area, and that's the total deduction that Sam can claim. Now, usually what would happen in practice, if you have general business expenses, which a portion is used for the home and a portion is used for the business, the deduction would also be based on the floor space area. So it would be assumed that based on the area of your office, you can use you can claim the deduction, but you can also motivate. For example, I know when I first started my business, I was working at home quite a lot. I did not have time to stream Netflix. I did not have time to do anything else with my fiber line other than work. So obviously that motivated that I was using it 80 or 90% for business and 10% for private. So if you can motivate that, it is, and prove that it's used more for business purposes than for any other purpose, then I can't see why SARS wouldn't allow a bigger deduction. I just want to see, I saw there were questions. Okay. Okay, no, there weren't any further questions. So then we can go on to salaried employees. Similar to Sam, okay, Priscilla is a technical support agent and she earns a basic salary of 50,000 Rand a month. She does not earn any commission, so we are dealing purely just with a salaried employee here. So in terms of her contract of employment, she's required to work from home at least 3 days a week, since her employer conforms to a hot desking policy. And I think this is something that's gonna happen in future. I think with COVID, our lives have changed completely. I don't think companies are going to spend huge amounts of money on massive spacious offices anymore. I think the hot desking policy is definitely going to be a thing of the future. So if that is the case and you are required to work from home for a couple of days a week, it's definitely worth looking at this deduction. So in order to perform her duties, Priscilla maintains a home office, which is specifically equipped with the relevant tools for her to perform her duties. And once again, same size as Sam's home. So I'm not going to go through that, okay? So Priscilla had been given a laptop by her employer, but she purchased a desk, a chair, and a printer. Her home is bonded, and the monthly interest on the bond account is 8,000 Rand, rates and taxes, and she's also incurred cell phone expenses of 1,000 Rand per month. So let's look at the test. As we said, the employer must require that she works from home. And since in this case, Priscilla's employer requires that she works from home 3 days a week, because there isn't a desk available for her for more days a week. She doesn't have much of a choice. She has to mainly work from home, so more than 50%. Because it's 3 days in this case, Priscilla would qualify, provided she meets the other conditions. And then also I need to just confirm that in order to claim home office expenses, you have to meet all the conditions. You can't just meet one or the other. You need to meet all of the conditions. So because Priscilla also maintains a home office, which she regularly and exclusively uses for purposes of earning an income, and it is specifically equipped for the purposes of her trade and mainly used by her to perform her duties, she may claim the following as a deduction. So different to the deduction that Sam could have claimed, because Priscilla was provided with the laptop by her employer, so she's using her employer's laptop, she can't claim a wear and tear deduction. That wear and tear deduction will be claimed by the employer, not by the employee. But Priscilla can claim the wear and tear deduction on the desk and the chair and the printer that she bought. Then her any business expenses that she may have incurred. So in this case, she only had her cell phone expense, and then she also had her interest on her bond account and her rates and taxes. Once again, the deduction is prorated based on the size of the home office, relevant to the size of Priscilla's home, which was the same size as Sam's. But you'll see now that because Priscilla does not earn commission, she can't claim her cell phone expense. She can, however, claim the wear and tear on the assets, so her desk, the chair, and the printer, and the interest on her bond account, prorated to the floor area, and the rates and taxes, prorated to the floor area. So if we look at how this impacts employees and employers going forward, it's important to realize that you have to do the test to determine whether you qualify for these expenses. So you would need to ask yourself the questions. Do your employer require you to work from home? Yes, well, we don't really have much of a choice since we are in a state of national disaster and we have all been forced to work from home. And I think we can answer yes to the next question as well, that we mainly work from home, because I think many of us have been working from home effectively the 26th of March. Many of us have gone back on a rotation basis, so working from home part-time, working from home, from the office the other times. And I know in a lot of companies, it's been a 2-day, 3-day rotation basis, or a 1 week at the office, 1 week at home kind of situation. So the question there would be, if you are working mainly, therefore more than 50% of the time from home. Then if you look at the next question, do you have a dedicated area that you use exclusively for the purposes of performing your duties? This is quite a difficult one, because I think we all would want to say that yes, we do, but not everybody has the space. I think many of us have smaller homes where you don't necessarily have an extra room that you can use specifically for the purposes, unless you basically just say, well, my dining room is now my office and it's no longer used as a dining room. But it's very difficult for most of us to have a dedicated space to use exclusively for the purposes of doing your job. I know I've been working in my dining room for the last 6 months. So, and I can't say that I've used it exclusively for that, because every other night I have to move all of my stuff out of the way so that I can have dinner. But anyway, so that's something that's from a constitutional perspective, because as I said earlier, if you don't meet all the requirements, all the conditions, you can't claim the home office expenses. So if you don't have an exclusive use area which is specifically equipped for you to perform your duties, you don't qualify to claim home office expenses. So and from a constitutional perspective, I think it's very, very unfair, because like I said, this was sprung upon us. None of us knew that for the majority of the 2021 tax year, we would all be working from home, and we would literally be forced to work from home. And then the last question is whether you earn commission, if you are a commission earner, and whether it consists of more than 50% of your annual income. So I think I've mentioned this earlier, that you would review your commission earned for the year, and if it exceeds 50% of your total income, then yes, you qualify to claim home office expenses. But once again, from a SARS perspective, they would want to see that your employer is not giving you an office and you are not working from an office or from clients' premises all the time. So essentially, unless you can prove that you must work at home, you must have a home office, you're not going to qualify. And the only way to really prove that you are forced to work from home or are required to work from home is that should be in your contract of employment. So essentially then, if you can answer yes to all of the questions that we've raised here, you would qualify to claim home office expenses. Unfortunately, if you can't, then you will fall outside that bracket. So, and I think the next question would be, how do we get around this? The only way to get around it is to try and recover some of your expenses from your employer. Like, for example, if you do incur internet costs that because you have to have a dedicated internet connection to be able to do your job, you could possibly approach your employer to recover some of that cost from the employer, which the employer will then be able to claim, because it would be an expense that the employer incurred in the production of income. And really that's basically the only way to get around this. Other than that, in future, I think what we need to make sure we do, because this year obviously we've been forced to work from home, but going forward, the pandemic is going to end at some point in time, and then we're not forced to work from home. I think a lot of us in level 2 are able to go back to work, and many of us are going to choose not to go back to work because of the dangers out there. But if we don't have if we don't have meet the requirements that we are either allowed to or required to work from home, we're once again going to fall outside the conditions that need to be met, and we're definitely not going to qualify to claim home office expenses. I just want to see, there's been a few questions.
Okay, yeah, so Jana, thanks for that. If I can just go through a few of these questions. Sonia Northnagel asks, you mentioned claim for a year. Can one claim for part of the year, say work from home March to June, and then return to the office?
Yes, well, there's nothing in the legislation that prohibits you from claiming for the part of the year. If you were required to work from home, mainly during the tax year, so I think there we would just need to be careful, because if it's March to June, it'll probably not be mainly, because my examples focus on 1 month or 1 week, 3 days a week, but the legislation specifically requires that you mainly work from home. And when we deal with tax, we deal with the tax year. So March, April, May, June, that's 4 months. So it's unlikely that you would qualify, because it's not more than 50% of the time that you've worked. So if you've worked a full year from March to February, you need to work from home for at least 6 months to qualify to claim your home office expenses.
Thank you for that. And then Sonia asks again, if work from home is not stipulated in a contract, could we issue employees with an addendum to the contract, so a letter?
Yeah, I don't think that would be a problem. I am not a labor lawyer, but I can't see why an addendum to a contract would not be sufficient. From a SARS perspective, as long as the employee can prove that there is a requirement to work from home, then I can't, even if it's a company policy that employees work from home 3 days a week or 4 days a week, or whatever the case may be, that should be sufficient proof. As I said, the Tax Act does not require that it be in the contract of employment, but it places the onus of proof on the taxpayer. And how else are you going to prove that if you are not, if it's not in your contract of employment, or if it's not part of the company policy?
Okay, thank you. Tsolofelo is asking, so if you don't earn commission, you will not be able to claim?
No, as I said, I think this last slide may be a little bit contradictory. The first 4 questions you need to be able to answer yes on. If you do not earn commission, you can still claim if you're a salaried employee, but your expenses, the expenses that you may claim, would be limited. So, for example, if we go back to the example that I've discussed with you about Priscilla, she can't claim her cell phone expense, but she can claim the property-related expenses.
Okay, so there is some form of claim that you can do.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so what I find very interesting is that you constantly say that we need to prove that there is a dedicated space. Would SARS actually come out and investigate and check what space you have available?
Yes, so SARS is within their right to do audits and do inspections. So if they feel that you are a high-risk taxpayer, they may come out and they may want to see your home office space.
Okay, very interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, any other questions for Jana? From Faisal Mukadam, if you're a selling agency for a person to sell your product and they get paid commission, sorry, that just went off. So I'm going to go again. Let me ask, sorry, that went off. If you're a selling agency for a person to sell your product and they get paid commission, and they, for example, get paid 20,000 for a month and more, how does the company handle that from a tax point of view? PAYE, are they responsible for their own taxes? How would one handle this? There's a few questions there.
Okay, I can't see that question on my screen. Can we just go through it again?
Okay. If you are a selling agency for a person to sell your product and they get paid commission, they get paid 20,000 a month for and more, how does the company handle that from a tax point of view?
Okay, so from a company perspective, when you earn commission, there's 2 ways where the company can deduct tax. So the company has to deduct tax from any remuneration paid to you, because as an employer, the company is legally obliged to withhold tax. So you can either apply to SARS for a tax directive and give that directive to the company, and the company withholds tax based on the tax directive that you have, or you can, or the company would deduct the tax based on the statutory tax tables.
Okay, thanks. And then from Peter Kriel, when spouse, and this is a very interesting question because there's so many people that are working from home, spouses. So when spouses are working from home, could we both claim? And if the answer is no, who then is eligible to claim?
Yeah, so there it's quite a, yeah, it's a very good question. I think in that regard, if there are 2 offices, for example, I think it's clear both can claim. Look, the legislation says if you're required to work from home, you can claim, and you claim on your floor space. Now, obviously, if you share the 20 square meter room that you are using using for the purposes of your trade, then you would need to decide who's using 5 or 6 square meters and who's using 4. But that deduction would be limited to the space that you use. So I don't think either or can claim. I think both would be able to qualify to claim. But once again, just to make sure that it is that you both meet the requirements, that there's an exclusive use area that's specifically equipped for the purposes of doing your work, and you use it mainly for that purpose, and then based on the floor space relevant to the size of your home, you should be able to work out a claim. If you do work out a claim and you can or a pro rata claim and you can support that, there's no way that SARS, unless they can prove different, can disallow that deduction.
Okay, so you're saying, there's a space needs to be worked out, who's going to use that much space, and that needs to be submitted to SARS.
Yes.
Okay, I can see lots of problems with that, because I know my wives would probably want more of the space, right? And the guys get less of the space.
Well, guys don't have as much stuff as wives.
You'd be surprised how many things guys need to carry around with them. Okay, it's
what is the key?
Then from Ishana Singh, does having the home office drop the value of your property when selling?
No, I don't think so, Shana. I think, in fact, I think looking at the future, because I think what we've just been through, things have changed, and I think a home office might just actually increase the value of your property. But also, if you have a study, I think already that's a premium in any home that you buy, because people do want a study that is separate from the bedrooms and the dining room, because I think a lot of us actually do work from home quite often anyway. I know for myself, I work from home quite often. And for me, having a study is very important. But I think looking at how things are going, I've heard of many companies who said, well, they now know their staff can work from home, so they can't see why they should spend huge amounts of money investing in office space.
Sure.
And they will be employing a hot desking policy going forward, which would mean that people will look for properties with studies where they have an exclusive use area to work from.
Sure. Just to reinforce what you're saying, I am currently in Cape Town seeing some of the major retailers and a lot of the major call centers and companies in Cape Town to promote our NetMotion product, which is our work from home solution. And so many of these guys that have close to 1,000 people working at home, not only are they using our product, but what they're saying is they don't think that they're going to ever go back to the office, or they're going to reduce office space. So, the work from home solution is certainly, people working from home is a reality. And I do see that, commercial property reducing, but I do also foresee private property, if if it's made fit for purpose, I do see a great value in that for the property owner.
Yeah.
So from Solofello, our company has elected to work from home full-time. Which cost will the employee be able to claim?
Okay. So Tolofello, if we can go back, I just want to try and, with my technology skills, go back. So if you don't earn commission, your deduction would be limited to if you pay rent, the portion of your rent that is prorated to the largest property size of your property, or if your property is bonded, your bond interest, your repairs and maintenance. So basically, if you have to repair the tiles in the study, and you have to paint it every 2-3 years because you draw on the walls because that's what you do, or you have a whiteboard that you have to replace because of normal wear and tear, and then your rates and taxes. Just remember, when it comes to repairs and maintenance, there's a fine line between what are repairs and maintenance and what are capital improvements. So if you do capital improvements, you can't claim that because you can't claim expenses of a capital nature. But if it's like painting or fixing the blinds or something of that sort, then that would qualify for repairs and maintenance. So if the company, and insurance as well, insurance will also be prorated based on the space that you use for business purposes. Now, if the company is requiring you to work from home full time and they're not reimbursing you for any of these expenses, remember that you can only claim the expenses if you actually incurred them. So if the company pays you, let's say, for example, you work from home and the company pays for your internet connection, you can't claim that as a deduction because the company already claims it as a deduction for the purposes of earning income. So you can't also claim that. So it's only expenses that you've actually incurred yourself. And the same goes for the employer. If you pay for your own internet expense, you can claim that expense, the company can't. So it's only when there's a reimbursement issue that you can't claim. So, and the same goes for all the other expenses. So if you don't earn commission, then it will be very difficult for you to motivate that you have, for example, entertainment expenses. I haven't listed this here because it's quite a controversial issue and not everybody can claim entertainment expenses, and that was not the purpose of today's discussion. But you would, for example, be able to claim for cleaning. If you do buy stationery, you should be able to qualify for stationery to claim a deduction for that. If there's any equipment, office equipment that you buy yourself, you should be able to qualify for that as long as you meet all the requirements. And just to reiterate, the requirements are that for salaried employees, that the employee is allowed to or required to work from home, which is, I'm assuming, is the case in your case. The employee mainly works from home, so more than 50%. You have to have an exclusive use area, which you use regularly and exclusively for the purposes of doing your job. And it must be specifically equipped for your trade. So I don't know which company you're working for and what it is that you do, but if you can tick those 4 boxes, then you would be able to qualify for claiming home office expenses.
So, Jana, you've spoken about cleaning, and I'm just thinking out loud now. What about the domestic worker or the helper at your house that cleans your office space? Is that seen as an expense?
Yes, that's an expense, as long as you can prove that expense. Remember, the legislation requires that the expense be actually incurred. So you need to be able to prove that you've incurred that expense. So you need to be able to prove that you have paid the domestic worker, and your deduction would be limited to this floor space area of your office. So if she cleans your entire home of 200 square meters, including your office of 20 square meters, that means 10% of your home is used as an office. That's an exclusive use area, which means 10% of her salary can be claimed as a deduction.
Awesome. Let me see, we've got another question. Fellow,
If
yes,
we can send the slides, we will
yes,
distribute the slides after the
we,
presentation.
yeah, we'll absolutely send the slide deck, and we will be sending the recording of this presentation. Are there any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? So, okay, if there aren't any, we'd just like to thank everybody for joining us on this webinar. Jana, thank you so much for your time and the effort that you've put into this presentation. For those who are wanting a recording, we are going to be sending it out anyway to you. And I think, you know, Jana's details are in the presentation. Please do make contact with her, talk to her, contact her, ask her all the other questions that you need to know. And then please do go to the BPESA website. As mentioned, you know, they do some really awesome work. They are really trying to keep the industry alive. And then, you know, from our side, you know, if you are a company that is, or you're part of a company that is working from home, T-Forge, what we're going to provide to you is a 30-day proof of concept of our NetMotion product that's going to assist you to ensure that you can work from home effectively, and that it will ensure that you have business continuity. And this doesn't only apply in the call center space. This is going to ensure that, you know, it applies to anybody working from home. And we've started this program, we launched this product, we targeted call centers, and this quickly evolved into a product that is being used by many companies, by many different people working in back office. This product is so fantastic. It's the NetMotion product. We're actually speaking to universities who are giving data and laptops to students. This product certainly assists with so many different needs that companies have, and we're going to give you a 30-day proof of concept. So please, if you feel that you do want we're going to be contacting you to talk to you about this, but if you want to take advantage of this 30-day proof of concept with a portal that's going to tell you exactly what is happening on each device with each staff member, please do email me at mp@teleforge.co.za. That's MP for Mark Pillay, mp@teleforge.co.za. Or you could go to our website. But as soon as you contact me, one of our salespeople will make contact with you. They will take you through a demonstration, and we're going to show you exactly how fantastic this product is. It works during this time, especially with load shedding. It's going to ensure that we can save you up to 40% on data costs. And this product is so fantastic. If you need to manage call center agent or any member of staff, you could actually go down and look at how much battery life the device has. You'd be able to see when the person logged on, when they logged off. You know, we are here to assist you. We want to ensure that you have business continuity. If you are on panels and if you are doing any form of work for any major company, you need to be ahead of the game. You need to ensure that you have business continuity. So with that being said, we'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us. Jana, thank you for your time. Amazing presentation. I've learned quite a bit. I'm sure my wife and I'll be arguing about workspace. Tracy, thank you for your time. Thank you for allowing us to use the BPESA platform. And yeah, Faisal, it was great. Thank you for that comment. And we'd like to wish you well. Be safe. God bless you. And thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.